следващите двама лектори, продължаваме отново с двама лектори, те ще ни покажат, че големите... Всъщност, I have to switch in English. I don't know why I just continued in Bulgarian. But what they're going to talk about is that big corporations can be agile as well, and that actually agility can make them accelerate as well. How they do that? Well, Georgi Kaludov is a transformational leader. He is doing all of that in the company where they both come from IBM. And Dimitar is doing, he's a program manager and also an university lecturer. So he is combining the practice with the lecture with the academics. And both of them together created the IBM Sofia Accelerator, which is a corporate venture program helping startups in Central and Eastern Europe to scale their innovations. So in their session, they will share how Agile Methodologies can become a catalyst for corporate entrepreneurship. So please welcome Georgi and Dimitar, and stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You basically said everything that I have in my part, but yeah, jokes aside, I'm Dimitar. As ChatGPT would say, I'm thrilled to be here. And what we are actually going to talk today is about cars, about speed, about agility, but in essence, our personal experience. As Scuderia Ferrari that you see here on the screen, which is actually powered by IBM technology, it tries to translate agility and data into speed on the track. We actually are trying at IBM to do the same thing with continuous innovation. We are doing this through something called corporate entrepreneurship, or if we need to be precise, entrepreneurship. The topic, as stated, is using Agile Methodologies for corporate entrepreneurship by myself, Dimitar, and Georgi. I'm currently program manager at IBM. Together with Georgi, we co-founded the program called IBM Sofia Accelerator, for which we will share a bit more in a few seconds. My personal experience ranges from startups across Europe and Asia, working in different S&P 500 companies, which actually exposed me to a lot of unsuccessful projects and some successful projects. Today, we are going to share basically the lessons learned from our past experience. From this program, IBM Sofia Accelerator, we draw the conclusion why corporate entrepreneurship needs agility. It's our personal statement, personal view and experience. We believe that corporations in some cases faces governance overhead, hurdle with all the processes, while on the other hand, some startups tend to be successful thanks to speed. And we believe the Agile provides the bridge between both worlds. At least this is what we've experienced in IBM Sofia Accelerator. The program itself is a 12-week program, which is equity-free for startups in Central and Eastern Europe. It is being conducted from Sofia, where entrepreneurs receive a business mentorship, a technical mentorship, opportunity to work with enterprise clients of IBM, partners of IBM, and the overall ecosystem. They tend to speak, talk, discuss, strategize with successful entrepreneurs. And behind all those sessions, what actually happens is our experts, engineers, works with them to deliver a new POC, which ideally either enhance their existing solution, thanks to IBM technologies, or we create completely new one. The objective of this program, basically there are two objectives. First, to help the startups with their go-to-market strategy, and second, to help IBM, in essence, integrating innovation faster through those startups. How we did it, by the way, we didn't came with this at the beginning. We formed this framework, which combines a lot of different frameworks, methodologies, which most probably are familiar to you. We were very agile. We came up this at the end. We saw, okay, we actually did exactly these 3 steps. These 3 steps, as we labeled them from idea to impact, are as follows. First, we had the Scrum, which most probably you're familiar with. We used it for rapid prototyping, testing hypotheses, so we know what actually we're going to work on in these 12 weeks. with 10 different startups. The second step, we used Kanban. As the project matures, if we can say a project matures in 12 weeks' time, it was evident where the bottlenecks are when we used Kanban. And the third step, which was with us from the beginning, is something called IBM Garage Methodology. This is an in-house methodology. Most probably you've never heard about it, but IBM works following this methodology with thousands of clients across the globe. In its essence, it's not a tool, it's not a technique, it's rather a mindset. The highlight of this methodology is to co-create, to cooperate, and to co-execute together with clients. There are three main pillars in this IBM Garage methodology. Actually, we are using Agile, design thinking, and DevOps in it. How we worked with those startups following those three steps was very, very agile in a sense, but we managed to come up with 10 different use cases, 10 different POCs, and one of those use cases is something that we're going to share with you. We've worked together with a Bulgarian startup called QuarkXR, which is specialized in augmented reality. But in order for me to continue the deep dive in IBM's offerings, I have a question to you guys. Does anyone knows what a mainframe is? Yeah? Can someone share? Can we give them a mic? Because I can't explain it and I'll need some help.
Who was raising a hand over here?
Few hands were raised. I don't know who is the first one. But
Someone who wants to volunteer.
okay.
To volunteer, explain
We have a
it.
volunteer here.
You are a volunteer, okay.
You mean about technology, the mainframe?
Sorry?
Servers, mainframe servers?
Yes.
I cannot say a lot of words.
Me neither, but it works fine.
I
Yeah.
know that it's high predictive. Yeah, it's a very specific technology. High productivity. There are not a lot of people which nowadays know about mainframe, but I know that it's still in use.
Yep.
In very big companies.
Yep. My colleague Georgi tend to call them the grandfather of the quantum computer, actually. But Georgi, are you going to jump in?
Yeah, just a few words about mainframe. When is the last time when you paid something online? Okay. Every transaction, payment transaction across the world is going through mainframes. This is the way how if you try to withdraw money from two ATMs, one of them in Japan and one of them here, and if you have only $100 in your bank account, if you try to export them at the same time to get 200, right? It's never going to happen, even if you try at the same second. Because mainframes are actually communicating to each other, similar to blockchain, right? But 40 years before blockchain, right? And this is the way how all the transactions are secure. All the banks in the world know that you no longer have money at the bank account, right? And so on. So in short, this is the main purpose of the mainframes, very big, very complex servers. And they're still used actually every year, every 4 years, there are new versions and the revenue is growing rapidly, especially now in the era of AI, right? So yeah, this is a short.
Yeah,
is there a prize for the right answer? Or?
Nope, but you took from my time anyways. So yeah. In essence, this is a very substantial and important offering for IBM. Whenever we sell those mainframes to governments, to financial institutions, their lifespan is maybe decades, and they need to be supported. They need to be updated. In case of some issues, they need to be repaired. And this is done by IBM engineers across the globe. So it's very important. How those engineers stay on track is basically they conduct or they take part of trainings. Those trainings happens in two locations for IBM. One is in Tucson in the United States. The other one is in Sofia, Bulgaria. So you can imagine thousands of engineers have to travel to those two locations. And our labs that we have in Sofia and in Tucson are not so big. I mean, not like 100 engineers can go at the same time and take the training. And we have trainers and instructors who spend time develop materials and share their knowledge with our engineers. So we've decided to tackle a challenge as we should with something which is labeled as innovation. We created an AR/VR for enterprise education on something called IBM Power Storage Machines, which is what you see here. We virtualized the lab in Sofia. We did a detailed version of our machine. And this virtual lab was accessible through Meta headset. We removed completely the trainer and replaced them with an avatar powered by artificial intelligence, our platform called WatsonX. So our engineers could actually stay at home, just needing a headset, Meta headset, or being in their office in Japan or in South Africa or wherever they are located, and take the training on the machine so they can support this main offering and business of IBM. We did this with a Bulgarian company. We did very interesting demos with 10 different Bulgarian entrepreneurs, and we did it in 12 weeks. We did it thanks to the Agile that we followed, but in reality, this is the case. We followed the IBM Garage methodology, for which Georgi will share a bit more and do the so-called deep dive with it. But we as Bulgarians, not only IBMers, were very proud of the impact that we were able to do together with the Bulgarian entrepreneurs on a global scale. So Georgi, over to you.
Thank you very much. So before I jump into the IBM Garage, few facts. Dimitar mentioned that we managed to come up with 10 demos with 10 different startups. These 10 startups are now new business partners for IBM. Can you imagine what was the cost, the actual cost that IBM spent for this journey? 12 weeks journey with 10 startups, with multiple partners, venture capital funds, legal offices, and so on and so on. They were providing lectures, workshops, and so on. How much this cost? 200,000. Good. Another guess? Up? How much? 500,000. Good. Above 1 million. Great. Anyone more than 1 million? So, okay, thank you for these suggestions. This is what we're going to ask from the executives for the next cohort. It took us less than 12,000 leva to do all of this, okay? And this money were spent for the catering for the opening and the closure event. Okay. Of course, we don't count and estimate the amount of time spent by internal IBM people and so on, right? Because it was a volunteer project. So this all started like internal volunteer project. Dimitar, the mastermind, came with the idea, why not we try to do this? He spent a lot of time to do the initial assessment, intelligence, to check how it's done in other countries, to check how it's done in Bulgaria in our accelerators. And he came with a very, I would say, good quality of presentation. Like any startup that you would try to do tomorrow, right? Every startup starts with a presentation. So, yes, we are familiar with Scrum, right? In the company, different units, different teams use Scrum or utilize it in different ways. We are also familiar with Kanban. How many people here are familiar with Scrum and Kanban? Good. How many of you use it, actually? Okay. And how many of you have heard about IBM Garage? Good. Winners. What about design thinking? Okay. So we realized that in theory, everything sounds great, but in reality, things can go ugly very quickly and very easily. So few words about design thinking. IBM has also their brand design thinking. The good thing is that it's absolutely free, available, open source resources. Everybody can access and use. The principles are very similar to any other kind of design thinking methodologies. We have focus on user outcomes and on the client. We have relentless innovation, continuous innovation, and we have diverse empowered teams. We have the heals, playbacks, and sponsor users, right, as keys of the project, and the continuous loop of observing, reflecting, and making. So when it comes to practice, we thought that, okay, IBM Garage methodology follows the IBM design thinking method, implementing some Lean, Kanban, and DevOps in. We're going to start with co-creation. This should take us about a week. Then co-execute, not more than 2-3 weeks more, and cooperate, 12 weeks of smooth operation. Yes, but not. In reality, this presentation that Dimitar prepared, we needed first to validate it. We started validating internally. We started talking with people who have been doing other accelerators in IBM, outside of IBM. And then when we felt a little bit more comfortable with version 12 of the presentation, we went to the executives. Then we needed to convince several executives that there will be value for IBM, that there will be value for the brand, and so on and so on. And of course, they wanted to see where the revenue will come from. So after version 20, we went externally. And we had similar experience. When we asked who knows about mainframe, almost nobody outside of IBM knew about what IBM are doing. Because when we said we want to do accelerator, we want to partner with you, they were like, where you were coming from? IBM, what they're doing? Aren't they doing printers? And we were like, okay, so we need to start in a different way. So we need to educate basically everybody what IBM is doing. Anyway, we had more than 100 meetings. We got to version 56, which we said, this is the final version of the program. This is how it's going to look like. And we got to co-execution. So the good news is that we didn't waste our time in these 100 conversations because we learned about what our people are doing. They learned what we are doing. And we were able to engage them and ask them, okay, we'll try to do it, but we need your help. Are you in? So everybody who we asked in the ecosystem agreed to help. So all the external mentors, they came for free, right? Because they had their own value from it, right? They got their own value. So they became co-executing part. Each of them were part of the program, were partners. And then it came the complex element of how to coordinate all this. We had more external mentors than internal mentors. We had more than 20 volunteers, internal IBM experts, who we found via internal Academy of Technology platform. And we explained them what is going to be the benefit for them. So we had the clarity, we had expectation, we created materials in order to convince their executives to let them go, right, to work for this program. So all of this needed to be coordinated. And this was maybe the hardest part, right? How to coordinate, cooperate. We gathered a team of volunteers also to do the project management. And then we hit the roadblock of communication. Because it's very hard in so dynamic environment, events happening all the time, working together with 11 startups, coordinating between other 50 people, communication breaks. Somebody is sick, somebody is not able to join, and so on and so on. So the only thing that was saving us to get back to our initial idea, right? To make the connection between the startups and the corporation. And if something breaks here, we remember that only Dimitar and I knew what is the initial detailed idea. And if something happens differently, nobody else will care or will understand than me and him. So we started changing the program during the program. And our expectations coming from the corporation was that, oh, people will say, oh, they're changing, so this means poor execution, right? So planning is bad and so on. No, just the opposite. Many of these defects became actually effects, right? And positive effects because the program became tailor-made for the needs for each of the startups. So they were pretty happy at the end. Feedback was extremely positive. So what is the lesson learned? Methodologies are there so that we know that they are there. We need to follow the basics, which is there needs to be communication, clear expectation, there needs to be regular sprints, right? And delegation of tasks and ownership for other things, right? For some of the people, we delegate tasks. For others, we delegate ownership of a work stream, right? But then we cannot stop the change from coming. And many of the changes are external. So we need to be ready to change the whole program if needed, but not to give up, to continue until the end. Because the only moment when a startup fails is when the last co-founder gives up. Okay? A lot of startups change their co-founder teams and ideas and products with the time. And the ones who manage to adapt quickly survive the longer, right? And grow bigger. So this is also our lesson that we learned in a corporate/entrepreneur venture. And the lesson is that, and the outcome, startups actually what they gained visibility, industry knowledge. They saw how things are happening within the corporation, how we win corporate clients. And they also got validation from the enterprise, from IBM and our clients and business partners for their solutions. So some of them completely changed their strategy, completely changed their products so that it really has the product market fit that they were looking for. And for us, first of all, we tested some of our hottest AI solutions, right? Because the idea was that we are embedding IBM technology with the startup technology, and we see if it works, if it makes it more expensive for them, if it makes it cheaper, if it makes it higher quality, if it adds additional value. So it was extremely valuable for us. It made me, I'm not sure about Dimitar. Yeah, he's not so agile actually. So at least it helped me become more agile, thanks to him and this idea. And we also accessed markets that we would never go, right? Because we're a big company. Normally we work with very big government and corporate clients. In this case, with some of the startups, we can reach small, medium-sized clients. So the Agile plus the Garage actually created this shared language where corporations can communicate and work with smaller companies. And we tried to craft practical takeaways, something that you can take with you and move forward. So explore the IBM Garage or IBM Design Thinking methodology is one of those theories that combines Lean DevOps, and it works very well with Kanban and Scrum. In our case, it worked very practical. In reality, we all know theory is 20%, practice is 80%. Talent is 1%, persistence and hard work are the other 99%. So thank you very much for your time today, and we're open for your questions.
We have 7 minutes for questions, so feel free to raise your hand, and I will be... We need a mic for the videos. Sorry.
Oh, fair. My question is, what were the startups that you worked with? Maybe I've missed in the beginning, but I'm interested to hear.
The first cohort, 11 startups, IUX, they have a platform for risk assessment and risk analysis. We had Employ, who are doing recruitment. We had Predoctor, who are an exit from Vector Labs, who are doing prediction of diseases, of colonial diseases based on blood tests. We had Epix AI. They're doing an AI solution that is estimating your actual biological age, because I don't know if you know, but our biological age is normally different than the chronological age, depending on the way you live, right? What you eat, how much you sleep, and so on. So they're doing with AI assessment plus genetic tests. Who am I missing? RoadSense. Yeah, RoadSense. They were using geospatial data from satellites, combining it with video observations from the automobiles, and are creating for the navigation systems in the cars alerts and announcements when there is a big hole or where there is a problem like ice and so on and so on. Dynamic pricing, they're using AI in order to dynamically change the prices in the different e-stores. Rabbit Solution, they are doing anti-money laundering automation. They also do know your customer. You know that when you log in into some new website, you need to scan your ID and then show your face, and then they ask you to do some strange things like point out here, do this, so that we know you're a human. So they were doing this. By the way, Rabbit sold a solution that we built in the POC together, Watson X AI, together with their solution, and they sold it outside of Bulgaria. So it was one of the big successes. And Quark XR, for which you sold the demo. Maybe I'm missing some other. Yeah.
Okay, first one is, did all of the starting startups actually finished? Yes?
All of them finished, but we had high expectations, each of them to build proof of concept, actual proof of concept that you can touch, right? Not all of them managed to complete this task. We had 4 solid demos that were demonstrated during the demo day. The rest were sharing the concept because some of the POCs, and we changed this into the expectations for our second cohort, which is running right now at the moment with 5 startups, is that we need to plan better what can be built for these 12 weeks, because some of the elements are very technically complex and some other elements appear to be way more expensive than expected in the beginning, because we're giving them free credits. We're giving them $18,000 of IBM Cloud credits, which they can use to build these demos. Yes.
So you're already running the second cohort. Are you planning to have 4 in total per year, or what's the plan for that?
This is a good question. So Dimitar's expectation was to do 2 per year, right? But the reality showed that 1 per year is quite enough, because it takes a lot of time to prepare all the people who need to participate, to book their calendars. And then it takes at least few months to find and scout for suitable startups that would come here. Like I mentioned, our marketing budget was 0, but we still managed to find quite a big amount.
Last but not least, is it only pre-seed startups, or is it already started startups as well?
Completely the opposite. Our goal was to actually work with seeded companies, because if we need to have a mutual work together, there should be a business for both parties. And at the beginning, during the accelerator, it's all about sharing, but realistically giving from IBM. Then we expect to do business together. Not in this line of thoughts like pay us so you can buy something, but to realistically co-create something together and target the market together as partners. And to do this, apparently you need to match the buy-in. And that's why we were looking for startups who are already funded somehow.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more question there.
First. Totally different area of question. So how do you see the future of mainframes compared with cloud technology? And how do you see IBM role in this?
Thank you for this question. So the mainframes are part of the cloud. Maybe you're asking how do we compare on-premises installations where clients are buying systems and putting in their data centers compared to the cloud. So there are about 70 or 80% of the clients of IBM who are, and our clients are 90% of the banks, 80% of the government, 70% of the insurance agency, and so on. They have a lot of legal restrictions. These legal restrictions, which in Europe are growing, require they to keep big amounts of their data on premises. In Germany, for example, personal data needs to be kept even in the same building where the operations are happening, right? And this requires the customers to own their servers. We sell them in different ways. We can sell them and customer support it. We can sell it with support. We can sell it like fully managed by IBM. We have engineers across the world. They go to the systems, they change parts and so on. So the infrastructure business actually, which is against the expectations when cloud started with all this hype and so on, is growing. And last year we grew with 15% in infrastructure revenue. This year, because we announced the last version of mainframe, the last version of power servers, which are the mid-range servers, we expect more than 25% revenue growth. So actually the infrastructure business is growing and also the cloud business is growing. But the good news is that in the cloud, you need to put servers, right? Because cloud is someone else's data center and this data center needs to have servers. So as much as AI is going up, the infrastructure will be going up, and we are happy about it because we're one of the main providers of end-to-end infrastructure. But good question, thank you.
And maybe, do you have time? Yes. Do you use any virtualization in your cloud, and on what kind of technology it is based? If it's correct question.
In our cloud, we have IBM technology, we have x86 servers, right, from almost all vendors, because our clients have different needs, right? For getting best performance from your applications, you need to have the servers that they're using. The good news is that with Red Hat OpenShift, which is a virtualization layer, which you can put on any kind of iron, and on the top of it, you can run any kind of applications and software. It's actually very agnostic. So in our cloud, we have all the flavors. And also you can see in other big cloud providers, servers from different flavors. So, hope this answers the question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all great questions and your interest.